Hey guys, Ryan said Lake St. Clair Fishing Guide. Up here in Michigan, it's cold, it's nasty, and it's going to be for a couple of months. So what I wanted to show you today was the log that I use to keep track of all my fishing outings. Might be something you want to set up this winter, something to help you out next year when spring comes, or for some of you that's not very long away, but for the rest of us, we got a ways to go. So it'd be a good project over the winter to kind of set up a log. And I'll show you the one that I've used. It's pretty simple to set up. The hard part, of course, is just keeping up with it. But it's pretty simple to set up. It's very easy to use. You don't have to buy any software at all. You can use Google Sheets is what we're going to use. I've made mine in Excel. I know not everybody has access to Excel these days, but everybody has access to Google Sheets, so I'll show you how to do it in there. It's real simple, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. Alright guys, I wanted to start by showing you my personal log. You can see I've got this set up here, and the way I set it up is I've got all of the days of the year, so January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and so on, all the way down through the end of December or so. And what this allows me to do is each time that I go fishing, I just insert a new row for that particular year, and I'll show you some down here in just a second. I wanted to start by talking about what I've got at the top here, the columns. So of course you want the year, so January 2nd, then you put the year, what day it is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's helpful in kind of jogging your memory on when you were out there, of course what lake you're on. And then a lot of these other categories are just kind of whatever you feel like you need. I like water temperature. I like to know about significant lost fish. Lost fish really bother me. If you've watched my other videos, I'm very particular about rod, reel, line, and all that business. So if I lose a fish that I didn't think I should lose, I'm going to make a note of it here, and maybe some notes about what could have been different. You know, if fish does a double half gainer on a jump, there's really not much you can do about it. But if pulled off by the boat, I want to know about that. Some tackle needs, you know, I'm a guide, and so sometimes there's some tackle that we run into a new situation, and I want to make sure I get some particular tackle. Good area summary. I don't always fill this in, but sometimes it's helpful to know a general area of the lake that was good at a particular time of year. In the boat, this is another one that I like just to help me jog my memory, so I can know who's in the boat with me that particular day, and that helps me remember that particular day a little bit better. Don't always fill this in. This is one takeaway. Sometimes I throw these in here just if there's something important that sticks out for me from the day. And I don't always just use this. You can see this first entry is just something I read on Bass Times. So I don't always use it just for my outings, but it really can be useful as you want. So I'm going to scroll down to like June. You can see we start fishing pretty heavily in April up here in May. But there's a couple days in June. I just want to show you a few examples. Let me scroll down there real quick. And so right in here, like June 23rd. So I've got the year here, it's 2016. Forgot to put the day in there. But you can see 2017 was a Friday, so it's likely a Thursday. Goose Bay on Lake St. Clair, 65 degrees. Made a note that it was cloudy, windy, couldn't see any fish. Even made a note, my buddy Marcel that I guide for, he told me he was out there on Friday and caught a few guarding fry. I went back in there and didn't do so well. So just making a note of that on there. And then I've got some of my guide trips there. This is an entry from a tournament I fished with my buddy Mike. That was in 2019, same day. So June 23rd, 2019. It was a Sunday. We fished on St. Clair. And I've got a little bit longer report here. I try to, as best I can, not to keep my reports too long, because the longer they are, the less likely you are to read them and keep up with them. But this one was a kind of important tournament day there. And then, June 24th, here's the next day. I fished on June 24th in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And then I've got a report from a friend of mine that was out that day, and he gave me some notes. So I've actually got 2 lines for 2020, one for when I was out there and one for when my buddy was out there. So it's just a great log for different kinds of notes. You can see even here was a different lake that I happened to fish that particular year, and some notes from that. So very useful log I found for myself. The trouble, of course, is keeping up with it, but when you do, it's very helpful to see what's going on, and you can scroll down to the different days of the year. You'll note that I use orange versus blue, and that's just to help me if I'm reading notes to know I've moved to another day if I don't actually look over at the day or it's too long or whatever. So I like to use that orange and blue, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second on Google Sheets. So I'll show you how to make one of these. It's really simple. I don't have to pay for any software or anything like that, and it's a real easy thing to do. So if you do not have a Google account, you will need to do that, and that's free to do. So go ahead and go to google.com, sign up for a Gmail account, and you'll have access to Google Sheets, which is what we're going to make this log in. So I'm going to go over to my Gmail, and here it is. And I'm going to go over here in the top right corner, and in the app section, there's a thing called Drive, and we're going to open up Google Drive. And Google Drive acts just like if you're old school Windows Explorer. If you've got a Mac, it acts like Finder. This is just a place where you keep and organize all of the different files that you create in Google. And there's a lot of different features that are in here. What we're going to do is come over here where it says New, and we are going to make a new Google Sheets, which is their equivalent of Microsoft Excel. It doesn't have quite the same functionality as Excel, but it's pretty close. A few things are a little bit different. I'd say it's probably about 90% the same. That's just my estimate. I don't do a ton of work in Google Sheets. But it's about 90% the same as Microsoft Excel. So once you get it set up, first thing to do, we're going to want to give this a different title. So we'll just call this New Fish Log, or you can title it whatever you want. But you're going to want to give it a title so you can come back and find it if you want. What I like to do is, like I said, I'm going to put the days here. I'm going to do January 1, January 2, and I'm actually going to go to January 3 and January 4. It just helps it to pick up the pattern that we're going to create here. And that's really all you need to do. You don't actually have to make all the different days. It'll do it for you here in just a second, and I'll show you. You'll want some categories, as I mentioned. Definitely want the year. Definitely want what day of the week it was. And then it's whatever other categories you want. We'll throw in water temperature there. I really like to know who was in the boat with me. Just because that helps me to jog my memory. If I've, days are running together out there, if I remember who was in the boat with me, it helps me remember. And then, you can put any other categories you want there. I'm going to go ahead and put the report right here, and so we can type things in. The other thing that we're going to do is I'm just going to type TBD in here for now. You don't actually have to do this for it to work, but you'll see why in just a second that I'm doing that. It's going to help you to see the color differences that I use, again, just as a visual aid, so I know when I'm jumping from one day to the next. So let's go ahead and format this the way we want it, and then all we got to do is drag it all the way down, and we'll have our report log all made. So I like to do the days in kind of a filled-in color. So I'm going to do January 1st. Whoops. January 1st and 3rd. If you hit Control, you can grab multiple things at one time. So January 1st and 3rd, we're going to fill those in with blue, and we're going to do white text. And then for January 2nd and 4th, again, if you hit Control, you can grab two at one time. And we're going to fill those in with orange. And we're going to do white text. And then what I like to do here is where I'm typing in information, this is what I'm going to make my blue text, just to match my headers over there on the left. So we're going to make these blue text. And you can see how I did, we made the TBD blue now instead of black, and that's the only reason I put that there. You really don't need the TBD for this to work. You can just highlight it without any text in there, and it will still make the text that color once you do put text in there. So we're going to go orange text here. One other thing that you're probably going to want to do is freeze this top row so that once we fill this all in, you can scroll but still have your titles here at the top. And so the way to do that is go over and click on the row 2 so that the whole row is highlighted, and hit View, and then Freeze, and then go up to row 2. And that way, once we scroll down, we don't lose our titles there at the top of each column, so we can see what we're filling in. All right, now, that's basically it. All we're going to do now is kind of go highlight the section right here. And once you highlight the whole thing, down in this bottom right corner here, there's a little blue box. You want to hover over top of it till you get a plus sign. And we're just going to drag it all the way down till we get to December 31st. And you kind of want to go a little bit slow so that Microsoft or Google Sheets keeps up with you. But we're going to need to go down. Give it a second if it doesn't go all the way down. We're going to need to go down to about 365. So scroll a little ways and then let it catch up. There we go. I'm about to day 300 here. Okay, we're getting close. I don't remember exactly where I started at the top, so I'm going to go a little over 365. I'm going to go to 368 and see where that lands me. And there we go. December 22nd. Okay. Let's go a little farther. Just till we get to December 31st. I guess that was 58, not 68. And we got it, December 31st. So now we've got every single day of the year. Didn't have to do any typing of all that information in there, and we're ready to go. You can size them. If you come up to the column and you see I've got that double arrow there, if I double click when I have the double arrow, it'll size it. And the only reason you might want to do that is if your report goes long, you want more space to write your report. So a lot of times I like to size these columns, something like that, so I have the year. So let's scroll down a little bit. Let's, up here in Michigan, we usually don't get out there till towards the end of April, middle April, sometimes if we're lucky, beginning of April. But let's go down and let's say that in 2022, I go fishing out there on Lake St. Clair on April 21st. Let's say it's I don't know, let's say it's a Saturday. Let's say that the water temperature is 48 degrees. And in the boat, let's say I got my brother Phil with me, and let's say we caught them good on jerk baits deep in 10 to 12 feet. You know, maybe we're using a deep diving jerk bait there. And so I make my note there. And of course, I'm going to put more notes than just that. I'm going to probably put where I caught them at, and, you know, other things like that. What the water clarity is might be a good thing to put in here. But then what that allows me to do is, let's say the next year, 2022, I go out on the same day. All I have to do is go over here and click on 113. You want to highlight the whole row. You right click. I'm going to insert one below. And then what it does is, it, you know, see it's still blue there. So now I can just type 2023. So April 1st, 2022 I was out. April 1st, 21st, 2023 I was out. Probably going to be a Sunday. Maybe the water temperature's a little warmer this year. Out on the boat with my dad. And smash them on swim baits in 6 to 8. So a little warmer water, maybe they got up a little shallower, right? And of course I would put some more notes than just that in there, but you get the idea. This is a free software, Google Sheets, anybody can make it. It's a real easy thing to do. It takes all of 5 minutes to put together a little program here. And as I said, I've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now, and I've really found this helpful. It's a great way to see what's going on over several days. Days before and days after you go out, and keep track of all the different things that are happening out on the water there. And you can get creative with it too. You know, if you fish just reservoirs, maybe you have one that's for reservoirs and a different one for natural lakes. You know, whatever it is that that you need to do for the areas that you fish. Myself, I mostly fish Lake St. Clair and northern Michigan Clearwater lakes, so I'm able to use this pretty effectively in just one file. But you definitely could make a second file for different types of lakes if you wanted to. So hopefully that's helpful for you. I know it's been really helpful for me over the last 6-7 years that I've been doing this now. I'm planning on doing it in the future. It's really helpful to be able to look at a singular day and look a few days before, the day of, and then a few days after, and kind of get an idea of what was going on in previous years. You know, when you fish as much as I do, and hopefully you guys all get the opportunity to fish that much, you just kind of forget some things sometimes. This is a great way to keep track of those things and kind of pick up on patterns that you might not have thought about and things like that. So feel free to reach out to me if you're having trouble making your own. Be happy to help you out with that. If you've got questions, always up for talking fishing. Feel free to reach out. We'll see you on the next video.